So Mia's flashback story was always in the book, and the book kind of builds to the mystery of, there's the fire, which isn't necessarily in the book a mystery around who started it, but around how and why was it started, which is one driving mystery. And then there's another mystery of the book, which is kind of, what is Mia hiding? And that we knew we would always build to a reveal, potentially in flashback. But of course, you look at it from a practical perspective, a creative perspective, but also just a human perspective of like, okay, we've got two big stars and two main characters. Are we going to give Mia this humongous flashback story that explains everything about her and give nothing to Elena? And so we started to think about, well, what are kernels? Celeste certainly alluded to lots of backstory in the book, or had kernels of just almost like seeds of moments that like built who this woman was. And we thought, well, what if we kind of take all those seeds that have been planted, and what if we grow this into a backstory that could really explain how both of these women became who they were at the time that we meet them in the pilot, and the time that we're really with them during the story. And I think, Mia's backstory revealed answers to a mystery and a lot about her life. Elena's backstory, I think, was equally important, certainly in the series, to explain why she was the woman that she was, and where her need for control came from, and what feeling out of control feels like.
And her resentment for her youngest daughter too,
yeah.
which is right. And you all have this, right. Oh, that's how she sees her daughter. That's where all this hostility comes from.
Yeah. And I think also understanding, what we find most threatening in other people, and usually where we are the judgiest, is when on some level they're probably doing something that we wish we could have done, but decided along the way that we couldn't, or society dictates that we can't, or we just know based on where we are in our own lives that we can't, like we're following rules, right? And there was something about Mia, I think, that broke all the rules that Elena told herself she had to follow. And she learned to follow them by the place she grew up and the rules of that place. She learned to follow them by what her parents taught her and instilled in her, and maybe pressures she faced. And I think it makes there's a lot about Elena that I think appears villainous, but I also think there's a lot about Elena that is in a lot of us. And it's easy to look at her and see her as such a villain, but I have a feeling a lot of white women are more similar to Elena than they might like to think. Everyone knows an Elena. Nobody wants to be an Elena. And I think that's interesting. And I think what I found really compelling about her, and felt so much compassion for her, was just a woman who didn't feel like she could follow her own heart, who really had rules ingrained in her of how life had to be. And she thought that if she followed them, she would be happy. And she isn't, or wasn't. And watching Mia not follow them and appear happy was very fundamentally threatening and upsetting.